Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of What's the Tea, and we are back with our thoughts on episodes 9 and 10 of House of the Dragon, the two most controversial episodes
I
of the
mean,
season.
controversial. Like the girlies and the homies been, whoa, they've been sharing their thoughts and opinions.
Fighting,
Like
fighting.
fighting. The girl said that's not how it's supposed to be. The homie said, well,
Let me tell you something.
okay.
So we about to get into it. So episode 9 is pretty much the aftermath of what happens after King Viserys' death. Because as we saw in the last few minutes of episode 8, Viserys, he's on his deathbed and he's talking to Alicent, and he thinks it's Rhaenyra, but he's talking about Aegon the Conqueror's vision about the Song of Ice and Fire. And Viserys has never really told this to anybody else besides Rhaenyra. So when he says the word, says the name Aegon, Alicent automatically assumes that they're talking about their son, Aegon, second of his name. So that's where that episode ends. So episode 9 picks up after the king's death, and it's the night of what is known as the Green Council. And the Green Council is when several members gather in around not I won't say midnight, but late in the night, and they pretty much hatch a plan to usurp the throne from Rhaenyra, who Viserys had already named heir. But because of the misunderstanding that Alicent heard, she said that the king declared Aegon the rightful heir. So now everyone in the room, except for two people who I have to applaud, who did not back down from what Otto and the rest of them were saying. And the thing that was kind of, I'm like, yep, that sounds about right, was when Otto said that they pretty much been planning this since Aegon's birth. Whew. Well, what are y'all's first thoughts and initial opinions on this episode?
Uh it was a good episode because like I'd like to see that point of view and how they would try to scramble and do things because of him being dead. Viserys now, passing on and everything. It was just interesting to see how they would handle those events, knowing what they had been doing for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that whole situation it just shows the how deep and depraved that they are with everything in terms of getting Rhaenyra out of her birth, her right as heir. But um yes.
Absolute garbage. They are absolute
That's why
garbage.
they're green, like the trash cans. You put your trash in, so that it's befitting. But I want to go back a little bit earlier, where when Viserys officially passes, Alicent tells her handmaiden of it all because just to alert folks. But it turns out she's an informant. She's informer, word to Snow. Um, for
Period.
the white worm, and basically that's how the information is leaked out, as certain things are always leaving the castles because of one of Alicent's handmaidens. But yeah, that was a nice little like early showing of just how fucked everything was going to be by the end of the episode. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as far as the Green Council, like it's like that the fact that there was a secret cabal more or less for the last 20 or so years at that point of getting of to plan Rhaenyra's ascension. I mean, what's the opposite of ascension?
Dissension.
It's dissension, and then there's another one, deposition.
No, deposition. No, not deposition. Not
Well,
deposition.
we're gonna run with the first one that Avia brilliantly brought up, the dissension, basically getting her out the frame and inserting Aegon as the king. One thing that I've like thought about the entire time is how singular minded they were with Aegon, that they overlooked Aemond, who's obviously the more capable of the two,
Mm.
which I am going to assume is going to be a recurring theme as we go forward in this song of fire and blood. And yeah, I thought that was pretty like and like just showing how deep Otto Hightower's bullshit truly goes.
Yes. Because one thing, like when they're all gathering, like one thing is like, Allison was like, so you did all this without telling me? Like, you did all this? Like, this is my son, and you're not telling me any of this? Because I feel like she knew, since she knew Viserys officially named Rhaenyra heir, like she, even though in her mind, like the only thing that Allison was like, no, Rhaenyra can be heir because she, the legitimacy of, or the illegitimacy of Rhaenyra's children. Like that was like her main issue, like her main thing with Rhaenyra and her being entitled to the Iron Throne. But once King Viserys was like, look, we're not talking about this anymore, okay? Like Rhaenyra is my heir, and anybody who talks about her children is gonna get their tongue cut out.
Period.
And after that, she was like, okay, I'm not gonna bring it up no more. Okay, I'm like, it is what it is, and I'll just have to, just deal
Deal.
with it. That's what she did, and that's exactly what she did. She dealt with it. She was like, okay, and then when the time came, for when Otto was like,
What up, Jay?
okay, hey, what's up? What's up? Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. She's like, hold up. She had this like, what, y'all have been planning this, like for years. And also, her relationship with Nero would have. I think like the reason why they didn't tell her that was because her relationship with Rhaenyra would have jeopardized it. Because if they actually would have gotten along, like let's say if Viserys didn't die, like so soon, and they actually kind of like rekindled their relationship, if she would have found out, she probably would have done something about it.
Yeah, I would.
And
I also want to add on to that is like it's when what pisses me off about the High Tower so much is that they're so focused on their own machinations and positioning themselves that they fail to see the like most obvious and probably easier ways to go about this. Like they had like 11 million opportunities to change change their train of thought and do something better, and each time they fumbled the bag. And yeah, we're gonna see how they continue to fumble it as we
oh
keep
yeah,
going.
oh yeah. Because okay, the Greens meet. They pretty much have this plan, to bring Aegon to to ascend Aegon to the throne and pretty much get rid of Rhaenyra any way possible. Because Otto wants to kill her. Because like, look, when she finds out what's happening, she's gonna come for us. So we gotta take her out before she takes us out. And she's like, no, like I'm not gonna let you kill her. Like there has to be a better way to do this. Like go to her, talk to her, see what can be done, as opposed to kill first, ask questions later, which I thought was very smart of her because she doesn't want to rock the boat more than she already has. And pretty much the whole episode is like trying to get allies for Team Green, and also Aegon is missing. So Otto hires twins Eric and Eric to find him. Meanwhile, Allison entrusts Aemon and Sir Kristen to find him, and so it's pretty much like a race against the clock. And the reason why, so that so each of them can bend Aegon to his will, because Allison, she doesn't want him to be like this. She doesn't want him to be like this very messed up person because she sees the demons in him, but she that's still her son. But Otto wants to use him like a pawn, like he uses everybody else, and she doesn't want that for him. Like if Allison, like if he is king, if Aegon is to become king, she wants him to be king in a better way than what Otto would have made him king. Would have made him out to be if Otto was to shape him in the image of king. And so, and that's when we see that the White Worm pretty much is in cahoots with pretty much people in the palace. So Otto has a meeting with her about, how do you think I found out this information? Like, how do you think I know where Aegon is? Like, because I got people in the castle and I got people all around. I got eyes and ears everywhere in this city. Like, come on, man. And that's why I love her so much, because just like she said, she told Otto, like, the power's with the people. It's not with the market, it's with the people. And one day y'all gonna realize that. And I just loved her. I really want to see more of her connivingness and more of like what she is capable of. Even though she showed what she was capable of in this episode, I want to see more. Like I want to see her be like pretty much be like the ruler of the underground of King's Landing. Like I want to see more of that.
Yeah. Another thing I want to point out is how now that you bring that up, what just crossed my mind is how maybe galvanized the Otto to make Aegon's ascension public. So because she said it's with the people, so if the people see this king, they're the new heir, the new king of Westeros, then that's how they get their power and their foothold in. So I think he was, always the conniver, paying attention to everything and basically going from there. Going back to the council meeting, one thing we didn't touch on is how Sir Kristen Cole had added another bitch ass medal to his
Oh yeah,
bitch ass status.
yeah.
I
When
thought we was gonna skip it because we all knew he was a bitch ass for that.
Right.
But like that was just madness. Like you have no self control. I get you were the queen. He said something about the queen, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you already have a bad track record, and you want to continue to add to it.
like like you sat back and bashed this man's head in for saying he would not go, like unsolicited. He said, "Nah, we not finna go against the word of the king." Or what we all know he said based off of some bullshit you want us to believe. And this man, Sir bitch ass Kristen Cole, came up and just sit down and bashed his head on the little marble plate.
Yep. So that's casualty number 1 of the war. That's the first casualty of the war. And also the captain of the guard quitting because he's like, I'm not doing anything until we officially have a king. I'm not taking orders from anyone until a king has, until someone is sitting on the Iron Throne. I'm not doing it. And so, he took off his cloak and he left. And, I'm like, there you go, brother. There you go. And also what's interesting about this episode, we see Aegon, what's possibly Aegon's, but one of Aegon's bastards when they are underground, when they go to Flea Bottom and they go to like the kids fighting ring.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that's so like the implications of that is fucking crazy. The fact that Aegon sends his bastards to fight each other to the death, and like,
I don't know if he sends them to fight to the death, but
right, it ain't him.
I thought that was my first thought. I'm like,
this
no, he just goes there. He just goes there for the entertainment. Like he's not the one saying, they need to fight each other, but he goes there to watch the fights and bet on them and stuff like that and drink. That's what he's there to do. And it's just like what's so funny is once they find, once Aemon and they find him underneath the in like this structure, they find him, he runs away and he's like, he doesn't want to be king, right? He doesn't want to be king at all. Right. And when him and Allison are in the carriage, he's like, if father really wanted me to name his heir, why didn't he do it? If he really father didn't love me, why would he want me to be heir now but not when I was born? Like this makes no sense. Like even Aegon knows this doesn't make any sense. Like even he knows that. And I just wish Allison would have said, your father had something told me something about your vision of the Song of Ice and Fire. And he'd be like, what? What are you talking about? He would be like, I didn't do that. That would have cleared all this shit up. You're like, what are you talking about? Like he would have had this look like, But of course, no, she didn't. She kept it to herself. Aegon gets crowned. At first people didn't want to, applaud or anything. And then, they were pretty much forced to do it. And then we got to talk about Rhaenys. Let's talk about Rhaenys.
It was crazy how they try to keep her trapped the whole time while all of this is going because they knew that she could stop all this. That shit is crazy.
It's so crazy because this is what I think what people really had a problem with in their main problem was that she didn't Dracarys them.
right,
when she had the chance. And I get it. Like she should have taken Team Green out. But if she would have done that, it would have been over. Like
right.
there would be no
There will
war
be
to be
no
had.
story. But like
And,
the writer said, they basically said yes, she had the choice. She had the choice to do it, but this is her own journey. This is her hero. This is her heroic moment where she gets to make this statement and then lead to take the message back to the proper people that needs to, handle this.
hmm
And because at the end of the day, no shade, this really ain't got shit to do with her.
It really don't. And then going to episode 10, that's what she says. And it's like, at first, she's in her quarters, everyone her doors are locked, and she's like, what's going on? And then Allison pretty much comes in, and she's like, look, the king is dead. Pledge your allegiance to us, to Team Green. You know, they've done nothing. Team Black has done nothing but this. She killed your son. Blah 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 blah. And Rhaenys pretty much plays mind games with Allison. Like, have you never seen yourself on the Iron Throne? Like you do yourself. You do things for everybody else. Your father, your pawns for your father, your husband, your son. Why don't you do something for you? And
I,
that's all. Go ahead, Keith.
I,
Go ahead.
what I want to point out with all of this, and I'm gonna get even further into it when we talk about the finale. But I basically am just like it's. I would like to know the reasoning why only Rhaenyra knew about the Song of Ice and Fire,
Mm-hmm.
because this all stems from the fact that one, all of these motherfucking kids are named Aegon, which is stupid as fuck. I don't understand why that is a thing. I don't understand why that is something we must have in this universe. Even one of Rhaenyra's kids is named Aegon. Like, come on, yo. But other than that, and like I said, we'll get even more into it when we get to episode 10. Maybe telling just one person about this very important thing maybe wasn't the best choice. I mean, if it was based off of trust, like you trust Rhaenyra the most, so you tell her and only her. I kind of, I don't know. I don't. And again, this is the tragedy of it all. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
because only one person knows, only one person really has an understanding of why things can't go as south as others may want it to until it goes as south as other people want it to. So
Mm-hmm. And so Rhaenys, they find a way for her to escape. She finds Meleys, her dragon, and she pretty much as soon as Aegon, he's like, yeah, I'm king. This is my moment. Yeah, I'm king. She busts through the she busts through the floor, killing and injuring I don't know how many people, the citizens of King's Landing. Um, like that's something too. Like I don't know, maybe if they had a different scene to where she just escapes through a different tunnel or something. Like maybe like she's there for the coronation and she sneaks in the side, like one of the side stairs, and exits through with Melee's like maybe on the opposite side so that she wouldn't at least hurt anybody. But it is what it is. That's what that way she could still give Rhaenyra the message, and Alice and everybody could still see her escape. But like I said, it is what it is. But that's
I was
in my
here for it because it was so peaceful and so quiet. And I think that's one of those Game of Thrones moments where I'm like, yes, like, because when I saw that, I was shook because I was like, oh, this is gonna be an easy little ending of the episode. But to have that feeling of her bursting out and the people screaming and everything, I was like, this is good. Like it
and
was
that's what
like
they get
so
for being
good.
at the coronation. That's what
Right.
they get for being at the coronation. And anyway, but am I missing it? Is that pretty much? That's pretty much the
That was
gist.
pretty
Well,
much the episode. I mean, it was a good episode. I like the point of view of seeing how they had to scramble and everything like that, and still at the end of the day know that Rhaenys is going back to tell all this back, and y'all got to prepare for that type of shit.
right.
I thought it was cool that like I said, I like the fact that they gave her the choice of either doing it or not doing it, and it gives them that it gives Team Green that unsettling feeling of this is not over. Everything that we did is still it still might come back to haunt us type shit.
Oh yeah, because like when she saw Renice escape, like she was like, "Oh shit, Rhaenyra's about to find out what happened. Oh, here we go,
Right,
here we go." And also one thing that was interesting, like Aemon thought he would be better as king than than Aegon would because Aemon said he studied the histories and all that. He's better suited. I'm
right.
like, so in the back of his mind, Aemon's always wanted to be king, and so that was like, oh, okay, so he's always wanted this type of power, but has never been in a position to obtain it, which is why he probably has that complex that he has. Like, all right, always trying to prove himself. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yes, big style. And I'll just say this because what we touched on Rainice, right? We
Hmm.
did that, and so before we move on to episode 10, all I'll say is that you can definitely tell how just well, no, before because we ain't even touched on the most fucked up thing about this episode,
Oh yeah,
which
go
was
ahead.
goddamn Mr. Deeds, which is how I'm gonna refer to him. Basically, giving Allison information if he got them
Oh
OnlyFans
yes.
feet.
Oh my god. See, I
Yeah,
kind of put that on my mind. I kind of put that on my
like
mind till
him
you
want
brought it back up.
like him
OnlyFans rocks. I mean, not somebody
like
talking about some Alice's feet so OnlyFans can run. I was like, oh my
No,
god,
or
y'all
like the picture of
sweet.
her and her daddy says hand of the king, foot of the king.
like
Like,
like him. He went straight, and y'all know what I mean when I say Mr. Deeds, homeboy for Mr. Deeds. I like feet. Like, come on, bro. Like, really, dude. That's been the scam this entire fucking time. Like you would feed her this info because she shows you feet in racial chat rooms. Come on, bro. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? So
Like, yeah, I don't think that scene was necessary. It was not necessary. Like, come on.
I will say it's necessary for her character development. She's always being used for other people's fantasies and
Jeez. Yep.
things that she that's what she's there for. She's there to comfort. That's another moment of her comforting somebody. That shit is wild though.
Mm-mm-mm.
yeah.
So like, okay, so that's how he's okay. Oh, Larry. So we pretty much covered episode 9, right?
Yup,
Yep.
we are good.
Okay, so now episode 10. Okay, Rhaenys comes back, and Rhaenyra, she's pregnant. She's trying to figure out, no, just well, the first part is Luke, little Luke. He's he's in the room. He's looking at the table with all the lands on the table, and him and Rhaenyra have that conversation. Like he's like, I'm scared. Like I'm not like you. Like I can't be the heir to Driftmark because I get seasick. Like and it's just a beautiful scene between the two of them, knowing what happens in the end, and just like I'm glad that they got to share like one scene together to show that she really loves and cares for him. And Rhaenys comes back. She pretty much tells Rhaenyra, "Look, your father is dead. Aegon's been named king, and they're coming after you and your children." And she is just, she's the stress, the baby, and so she's having the baby, and
Yeah.
Emma Darcy deserves a Emmy for that scene alone because they did
Yes.
an amazing job. They were phenomenal.
What up,
Like,
Ian?
what up? What up?
What's
And
going on?
she pretty much is giving labor, and Damon is pretty much trying to be like trying to lead while she's giving while Rhaenyra's giving birth. You could hear you could tell it's very stressful on her. She
Yeah, it was
calls.
just it was a lot, and I just want to point out real quick. like something we can't, because I'm gonna say it a lot, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna begin saying it now. Lucerys Valerian is her MF baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
That is indisputable.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at that dude like he's a pound of gold with some wheat grass and some lavender.
Child.
Any superlative that you can have for the best things to be loved, she looks at that kid with that, and that is damn. Give them their Emmy. Give Emma their Emmy for this one, because she portrays a mother smitten with her children just so passionately, and it's paying it forward, because no matter the ups and downs her and Viserys had, we clearly know Viserys had that same love for Rhaenyra when she was,
Mm-hmm.
around that age. She like
Mm-hmm.
he would move mountains, literally acquiesce to any and everything Rhaenyra wanted. We've seen that even in his dying days, where he had the lengths he would go to protect and show how loved she was. So
Mm-hmm.
her seeing her pay that forward with her own child, it man, I just like I sent this to y'all yesterday when I was watching. I just wanted to give them a hug, because she was about to go the F through it.
Oh
And
yeah.
boy, oh fucking boy.
Because she even told Luke, "Look, my father prepared me to become queen, so I'm gonna prepare you to become king of Driftmark." So she was like, it's just like, oh, because you can see that she still loved her father, and
Right.
you know, oh, poor little Visenya, like she's stillborn, just and she pulled her out herself, y'all. Like even the maids and the nurses, like, let us help you. Let us help you get this baby out.
I
And she
had
was
a
just like,
theory about that. Why she didn't? I think it was. I honestly, truly think it's because she knew what the
mm-hmm,
outcome of the birth was. Because I mean, maternal instincts. I mean, look how many kids she has had. I think she knew this time something wasn't right,
mm-hmm,
and I don't think she wanted nobody to be around, like to actually have to see what was gonna happen with her child.
mm-hmm. Because Visenya came early. It's like the baby's coming way earlier than expected,
Right.
and she's crying out for Damon. Or she's yelling. Damon's not paying any attention to her because he's been through this before. Like with Lena, like she pretty much going through the exact same thing, and people are like, he's ignoring her. He's just that's just how he when it comes to pain and when it comes to hiding his feelings. That's what Damon does. Like he doesn't show emotion. He hides within himself, and he puts his feelings somewhere else, and in this case towards getting the throne back
Yes.
for her. Like he's doing this for Rhaenyra, and maybe there might be some selfish motive so he could take the high towers out, but
I think
they
it's both. I think in his mind, he's not even viewing that as selfishness. It's just what needs to be MF done. In
mm-hmm,
his mind, they killed his brother, removed his daughter from the throne that he was very adamant that would never happen. And as
mm-hmm,
Right.
we know, as much as Damon was, always, and we again, I'm gonna keep saying this because this is very prevalent throughout this episode. We'll see more of that, but regardless of any problems he had with his brother, you were not disrespecting him, and you were not making a fool of him in Damon's presence. And to hear that he's passed, and what would be one thing, I believe Damon would still assume that there was foul play, but if it wasn't, and he knew, and there was like people telling him not, he would probably cool down. But to hear his brother has died, and that Aegon, who everyone and they grandma knows is unfit, is now king, and that it
mm-hmm.
was a spectacle. He's like, yeah, I'm about to turn the fuck up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And with Rhaenyra, it's so sad because I genuinely think that the shock of hearing all of that, maybe tilted
Mm-hmm.
the scales into the stillborn.
Oh yeah, without
I,
a
I think
doubt.
I think that that's what I think that it probably the baby probably had a better chance of surviving if she didn't get hit with all of that. And I'm like it was very hard, like not just the birth, but to see her doubling over with the pain and the betrayal of it all. Because this is and I don't think too many people have brought this up. Imagine over the span of 2 days, the last time you see Allison, the bridges, relationships have been mended, built, bridges have been rebuilt. It looks like you're going to start anew with somebody you very clearly love. And then you find out that your father is now dead, your claim to the throne is gone, and she has inserted her son as king. And all of that betrayal and hurt that you were basically you basically felt like you were lied to on all regards. And it's I that is the type of pain.
Too much stress. It too many That's exactly what happened. Like all the stress of everything that happened in the past 2 days pretty much caused her to go through early pregnancy and killed the baby. Like, and that's what I think what made. I think Damon knew that. I mean, Rhaenyra obviously knew that too. But I feel like he's Damon. Like as Aemon thinks he's focused, but Damon focuses. Like
Right.
he's like, okay, here's what happened. This is the root of the problem. I'm gonna take the problem out. I'm gonna get rid of the high towers. And I think it was interesting that like the boys came in when she was giving birth and they're like, oh my god. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were like, oh, this
Some
is
real shit.
this is not good. This is
Right.
not good. And then, when Jace comes in and Damon's trying to, tell the troops what to do, and Jace's like, look, my mother said don't do anything. And while she's in bed, like, while she's bedridden, like, don't do anything. And then Damon's like, let me show you, let me show you how to really lead. And that's when, he takes Jace out and he pretty much has those two guys, the two knights, pretty much swear loyalty to Rhaenyra. And since Jace is her heir, swear loyalty to Jace. With with Syrax in the distance, flying in, like, yeah, if you don't, you gonna get burned alive. So that was also for Jace, that was also, a lesson. Like, look, this is what you're gonna have to do as heir. Like you're gonna have to step up and you're gonna have to, do things that you might not want to do. And also something that I really thought was interesting was that Jace and Luke were fighting. Like, there you go. Like they have been bested so many times. I saw like so they have been bested in battle so many times. Like, first of all, Luke, how would you let Aegon push your head in a plate? Like, you let that man push your head in a plate. Like,
Yeah, but I'm sorry. As I said previously, them boys should have known it was gonna be some smoke when they saw them because the way they had double teamed them back in the day.
Yeah, but that was his dumbass fault for trying to kill somebody over some bullshit. So
I
he brought
mean,
that
I'm sorry.
ass whooping on
It was
himself.
smoke. It was gonna be always some type of animosity. If I see you again, if you try me, if you speak, I mean, granted, they family, so I mean, it is what it is. But they couldn't expect not to get his head pushed into that plate. I'm sorry.
right?
That
I
agree with. I agree
Them
with
two brothers was
I,
ready.
I agree, but I still think that there's some bitch ass folks, so I don't really care how they come out.
Absolutely.
100%.
But it's like the Valerian boys gotta get better at fighting. Like they got to get
Well,
better
the Valerian boy needs to. Well, that's.
So when I
I
saw them
mean,
practicing sword fighting, I was like, yes, y'all need to practice y'all sword fighting because they gonna keep kicking y'all ass if y'all don't. So it's like finally. But I thought I thought that was interesting.
also
So
here's a small gripe. So the king, that's the king's watch. The guys in the silver suits with the capes, right? That's the correct name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did they go back? Was those the ones that went back with her, or did they just start piling in once they saw the sham?
I think once they saw the sham, they started coming in. Once they saw like, yeah, something ain't right. Because remember, one of the twins, in episode 9, he was like, "I'm not doing this." Like, I'm not. And that's when he left. And that's when he got, took the crown. When they're cremating Visenya, he comes in with the crown. When Rhaenyra gets crowned, and Glakaris Lucaris, period. and it's it's like one of those moments like it was more intimate than Aegon's, but it was realer, if that makes sense. Like it was more intimate, but it was realer because it was people who actually respected her,
Yes.
who cared about her, who would fight for her. But I just like, okay, why are my girls Bayla and Raina in the back? Why are they in the back? Like, come on. But anyways, there was a nice intimate moment, and she has officially become queen. She's not princess any longer. Like she is officially queen now.
Yeah.
And they're on the bridge. Otto comes in. Him and Damon. Going at it.
Those episode 2, and please let me know if that's the correct episode. Episode
It
2.
is too when they're on the bridge. Yep, it's on. Yep.
Yes. Episode 2 pairing. When they teased it last week, I thought they were trying to misdirect by showing us because how shows sometimes will show you clips from previous episodes to make you think and not show you too much. So when I first saw that clip last week, I'm like, oh, they trying to not spoil everything. But then when I watched it in the episode, I'm like, oh, this is an amazing parallel. Basically, it's serving a similar purpose because the first time he was going to retrieve the egg from Daemon and whatnot, and it was Daemon about to go to war with King Viserys over it, essentially, because if he would have killed Otto, then that would have been the reaction. And now it's basically the same thing, but instead the king is Aegon, and now Rhaenyra is not playing. Well, I guess she still played Peacemaker in the end, right? Because
well, right until like the last minute. Right until
Yeah,
the last minute.
I think that was one thing that her father said. You are the one to bring the realms together. So I think she still wanted to keep that mentality, that peace, because she didn't want no more blood spilled. Look at all the blood that has been spilled through up until then. So I think that's one thing she did want to do was keep peace until an unfortunate event.
And
And
then, go ahead, Gabe.
I just want to point out that the usurper. Wait, let me pull the line up because it is a bar and it deserves to be repeated until the end of the series. Drunken usurper cunt of a king is a fucking bar. The fact like that
bars.
When I heard that, I'm like, damn, he just read his ass, and it's the truth because it's like, are you serious? You're telling me that our children are going to be cup holders and shield bearers? They're not going to be any high lords or anything. They're going to be basically a step above.
Pretty much. Like,
right.
No, Dame was like, I'd rather sacrifice my children. I'd rather my children be eaten by dragons than that shit. It's like, oh.
Right. And the fact that they and it's like the fact that you come to them like with that bullshit, you want them to get greasy on them.
You want the smoke. Like Damon, this whole series, Damon wants all the smoke. Because they ready, they ready to go at it. And Rhaenyra comes out on Caraxes, like the queen she is, comes out on Caraxes, lands.
Calls Otto a fucking traitor.
I was about to say it.
She was ready to light his ass up. Like she was like, say another word. Oh, I wish she would have declared.
It's something that I want to point out during the birth scene. And also at the bridge scene, during the birth scene, when she's yelling, when Rhaenyra is yelling in pain, you see Caraxes also yelling.
Right.
Like, the connection between dragon and rider. Oh my God, that's a great way to, to intertwine that. Kind of like when Vhagar didn't want to fry Lena, like she didn't want to do it, and it's like,
I was glad that they did that just so that, like you said, we can see that connection with their writer. Because I think I felt like it was also, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like a parallel, but it was like a prequel to, to show us that is one of the themes of the show for what, that happens later is that these dragons are connected to their writers and will feel the same emotions that they feel. So yeah,
I'm glad y'all saying this shit now because that show was like, is there a psychic link? Because
no, it's not a psychic link.
It's just a connection.
For those who don't, for those who don't know, the House of the Dragon is my first foray in any regard in the Game of Thrones universe. So a lot of stuff I am picking up on for the first time, experiencing for the first time. So during that sequence, I was like, oh, is there some sort of psychic link between her and the dragon and whatnot? But I'm
So
glad y'all
bad.
cleared it up.
I
And
mean, you
yes,
can. I mean, you can say that it's a second link, but it's more mental because
Well,
they have to bond with them. They have to go out to them and everything like that, train with them. So
yeah.
they've been together since she's a kid, so she's
Right.
gonna feel that pain that she's going through.
Like according like she was like maybe 7 when she started writing. Like she was maybe like 7 when she started writing Caraxes. So think like she's like in her 30s now. So that's like 30 years between
Hmm.
dragon and writer. So that's a very strong bond. Like 'cause
Mhm.
she and when they're on the bridge, when everybody is fighting, you see Caraxes like yelling like stop. So she's like, y'all stop it. And because Rhaenyra gives her a look like, yeah, that's what I needed, that's what I wanted. and she who when I tell you this was a boss move, like she struts up to the auto, she snatches that pin off, she throws it off the bridge. And she calls him a fucking traitor. I'm like, oh, that's right, girl, get
Period.
him.
He is.
Because I don't think anyone's ever called him that to his face. Like no one's
No.
ever called him a traitor to his face, but she did. She was like, you're a fucking traitor. Like you've been planning my demise since I was a teenager. You got to go. You got to go.
Yeah.
And then he does this play where he gives her the page from the book that she gave Allison, like in episode 1,
Yep.
and trying to smooth things over. And she's like, Damon was like, look, say the word. Look, say the word, and I'll take care of it. And she's like, look.
I've dropped the F-bomb a lot this episode so far, but I cannot in any regards repeat exactly what Damon said on these FCC airwaves. But let's just say that was pretty hilarious as well, what he said he wanted to do and send back to Alicent. Also, well, that's the next scene. So go ahead, let's wrap this part up and then I'll get to this point in the next scene.
So Rhaenyra says, you'll have my answer by tomorrow. Like you'll have an answer. And so that's when they go to the war room. They're like, okay, well, what do we do? They're like, okay, we need to figure out who our allies are before we do anything. So we're just trying to see, where everybody's head's at. We just want to see, what's going on. And then, Damon's like, okay, then we have 3 dragons. We have 13. There are other dragons that are, unrode or untamed. So let's go find them. Let's take them out. And Rhaenyra still has this, peaceful, like, no, we're here to maintain peace because that's what my father wanted. And that's when she tells everybody to leave the room.
Yeah.
And that's, oh, go ahead.
No, I just because I wanted to before we get to the next part, which is going to piss me off, and I'm probably going to yell. Shout outs to homie who said, "Yeah, forget all of these soldiers. We got dragons, yo. Why don't we just use all of our fucking dragons and just smoke King's Landing?" Like that is the realest shit ever said in that show so far. Because it's like, yeah, they got Vagar and he's big, but if you got 80 billion dragons technically to their like 3 or 2, it's really not. It really ain't too much you can do.
Right. And like, also, let's talk about Corliss's entry because the sea snake is back. The sea snake is back, and he was very sick. He got better. He does have a walking stick, a cane, but he's able to make it to the war room as they're discussing what to do, and he pretty much lays out what's going on. With everything. He's like, look, all these people. How do you know all these people will pledge loyalty to you just because they did to your father? Like the Greens have these people, but you know what? Now you have me. All right, you have my ships. We're able to, lay siege to King's Landing because I control the seas. Let's do this thing. And she's like, all right.
Yeah, and I want to point out that Corlys was ready to pack it on up. He was like, I'm done with the Iron Throne. Let's just go neutral and disappear. And Rhaenys hit him with that gift. She hit him with that.
Well, since
She
you
hit him with that. Like
since you went away.
Yeah, actually, about all of that, we're gonna have to go on ahead and side with Rhaenyra because these folks in the green is tripping, and I just, and again, I don't know if this devolves from the book or if this will narratively make sense, but I think I agree with a lot of people who say just tell them at this point in time what the agreement was with Lenore, and that's to do what they needed to do. They opted to fake his death so that they can consolidate their power in House Valarian, which now, and we'll get to this at the very end. How much of that is still there effectively, but um yeah, I think that Corliss was ready to just run away with his wife and just do the business. But she was like, "Some nah, fam, that ain't. We got to go on ahead and just."
Right.
And then he bust out the, "Well, while I was down and out, we kicked them folks in the Stepstones' ass, and now it's completely ours forever. And now we can chokehold King's Landing if we need to."
Right.
And I'm gonna save that diatribe until the very end. But yeah, go back to what you were saying about the second meeting at night.
Uh,
At night.
okay, so Rhaenyra and Damon, Damon's like, why aren't you doing anything? Like, why are you so hesitant to do anything? She was like, look, my father told me to, uphold the peace in the Seven Kingdoms, so that's what I'm doing. That's what, because a Song of Ice and Fire, he told me about the Song of Ice and Fire, and Damon's like, what? What are you talking about? And then he chokes her because he's like, because he's upset, like, because he's like, my brother believed in these myths too much. Like, and then she laughs, like, huh, he didn't tell you. He didn't tell you. And he just, the look on his face, like, dreams didn't make us dragon. The line, dreams didn't make us dragons. I mean, dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did. And it's like, that shows the difference as to why, because at first, before Rhaenyra was his heir, period. Rhaenyra was his heir, Damon was. And you think Damon was probably his heir for a while. He probably was Viserys' heir for a while. So why didn't he tell Damon about the Song of Ice and Fire? And I think it's because, for number one, he probably wouldn't think that Damon believed him, even if he told him. And Damon wouldn't uphold peace like it's like he was supposed to, which is why when he does name Rhaenyra heir, that's why he told her, because he knew that she would do what was necessary to uphold that peace, so that the Targaryen who's supposed to defeat the White Walkers in the Song of Ice and Fire will come to fruition through that line, and that's what she was trying to. That's what she was trying to do.
I agree that could be a plausible thing. But I'm gonna just say, how do you keep fucking up this game of telephone, Viserys? I mean, I get you, my guy, but damn, this is the third time this shit is biting everybody in the ass. First, it's you tell to read. First, it's you not responding when Rhaenyra was talking to you because you was sick and dying. Then it was you telling the wrong shit to the wrong person in your dying breath. And now it's us finding out you only told one of your two heirs about the goddamn very important thing that needed to be maintained. I don't understand why that wasn't the case. I would be more forgiving of Viserys' lack of judgment if he did tell Damon the Song of Ice and Fire, but like you said, he just did not believe him. I would get all of that because it would actually help in his decision to name a new heir. But to not tell Damon this at all, so he doesn't even at the very least have an idea, it's a bruise cruise. It's setting them up cruising for a bruising. Because what you have two individuals, and I know enough about Game of Thrones to say that this House of Ice and Fire will not be any no, it's not common knowledge until it's absolutely needs to be to the people involved. And nah, Viserys is not a bad king. That's cap. He's not a bad king. He's a king.
He didn't even want to be king, to be honest.
But he was, and he was a king, and it's easy. My philosophy has always been it's easier to judge kings in peacetime than kings in wartime, because kings in peacetime have more responsibility because they're trying to keep everything still peaceful, versus a king in wartime where their only real expectation is to win the war by any means necessary. So we're harder on Viserys because he's not going up against White Walkers or other kingdoms or anything like that. He just has to maintain a continued air of peace that is expected for this era in King's Landing. However, he still needed to tell motherfuckers important things, like his wife or his brother, who was heir before them, so that there would not be
Tell your
confusion
wife,
like this.
which wife? The first wife or the second wife?
At this rate, it didn't matter, does it? Because it's still fucked up. It don't like shit. Like goddamn. Like it very much is like, I get it. Like, your love of Rhaenyra and trust in Rhaenyra is warranted because we've seen how of sound mind, of high character Rhaenyra is, and if there is absolutely one person who would take the words of her father seriously in regards to the Song of Ice and Fire, it would be her. And we see just that in this episode and episodes before. But I am a cover your bases type of guy. If I know something is important, I am going to make sure there's enough people out there who have an understanding of the important thing. So in the event things go belly up Finding Nemo style, I at least know there's going to hopefully be more than one person who would maybe come to Jesus and understand the important thing. Just giving it to the one person, and then she's getting choked up non-sensual style, and then the dumb bitch wife is saying it's her dumb bitch son. It's a lot of mess. It's a lot of mess that's going on right now.
Game of
But
Thrones.
it's just a whole bunch of mess and miscommunication.
It's like the books is even more messier. Like, too many people got their hand in the pot. Too many people got their hand on the story. Too many people just try to say their point of view. Like he said, it's giving very much confusion. But it's good confusion because that's what plays into the storyline. That's what makes the story very.
It's super effective,
and it shows that Rhaenyra was the true heir.
Right.
It shows that like being on the Iron Throne was her responsibility, and like if Aegon would have found out about what happened, he would have like, yeah, right. Like he probably would have had the same attitude towards it that Daemon had.
He still should have hedged his bets.
Yes, the books are heavy about prophecies not always being true. That's why I'm excited. That's why I'm ready for us to get over this hiatus already. I'm probably gonna read the books because everybody was throwing out things about, mind you, doing a deep dive between these the book readers and how they were saying things are perceived and everything like that. It's very interesting to see what does happen and then how does the showrunners want to take it and everything. So yeah.
Oh yeah, but now,
all right,
on to where Daemon goes to find Vermithor, who is their father Jaehaerys's dragon, who is huge. Like, she will give Vagar I don't know the sex of the dragon, but they will give a Vagar a run for their money, because you see it. Like, as soon as you see it breathe fire, you're like, oh, okay, this dragon means something serious. Like, this is a serious dragon.
Damon and his singing though, like that thing had me. When I said I was hollering, because I mean that he said, and then I said, okay, you better sing to the dragon so you can lure him out and let him know that you speaking the language and everything. That shit was funny to me. It just shows you his passion for what he wants and how he's gonna take control of the power that he needs. He do anything necessary.
Right. So in the war room, pretty much Rhaenyra's, when Corlys is like, look, I'll fight with you. She's like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. All right, Jace, you're going to the north. You're going to find my people, and then after that, you're going to Winterfell. It's all to the Starks. He's like, all right. Luke, you're going south to Storm's End. All
Mhm.
right, it's a short ride, but you're going to talk to Baratheon. You're going to talk to House Baratheon. And I was like, please give Bela and Rhaena something to do. Please give Bela and Rhaena something to do.
Well, it's kind of
You
Lo and
gotta
I would
protect
behold,
those babies
did
right
not.
now.
I would say it's probably for the betterment, considering what happens next. I think it's for
Yeah,
the best.
I
That
feel like but in the books they're gonna have a lot. I hope from my good sisters
Be
that
quiet.
they're going to really beef up their role now that Luke, because Luke did take quite a bit of story in episodes 8 and 10. So maybe now some of the stories that they were saving for him, like their stories, will be told now in seasons 2, 3, and 4 because they play a really big part in the Dance of Dragons. Like I've been saying, Bela is a badass. Like she's pretty much like both of them, not even just Bela. Like Bela and Rain are badasses. Like but Bela is more like Damon than she knows. Like, but all the good parts, like she's the best parts of Damon and the best parts of Lena. And I want to see her ride Moon Dancer. I want to see her show up and show out. Like, let the good sis and her sister do what they do. Like, don't hold them back. Like, don't hold them back. And I feel like they were definitely held them. Well, we see more of them when they were little girls. Like we see them in episodes 8 and 10, but they don't really say anything. They're just always like they're there, but they're not there. If that makes sense.
yeah, basically background characters. Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
And I'm like, okay, hopefully in season 2, they will do better. Um, do better by Bayla and Reyna. But yeah, so it's pretty much she's sending
That it
Jace.
was a short ride, all
Right, all right.
right.
Uh,
Like so,
like to continue on, like that when Rhaenyra is giving them their mission briefings, like Avery just got done listing off, and the way she speaks to Luke, and it's just like she's just that's like baby boy eyes, like it's not no big deal. I'll be right here waiting for you when you get back, like.
mhm.
And then the way he says mother and then corrects himself and says your grace is just like I know the joke is no one good in Game of Thrones lasts long, but like damn.
Yeah, and it's just like she expects them to come back. Like she expects them to come back, which is why she doesn't say I love you or like goodbye. Like she's expecting Luke to go come back because Storm's End is a short ride, and so he gets there. Lo and behold, Vagar, traitor, is there. It's storming. It's nighttime. Like the weather is terrible. So he goes in. He tries to talk to Boris Baratheon, but who is there? Aemon, sitting there, standing there, waiting on him. Just ugh. So you know, Luke goes up to Baratheon. He's like, "Well, I have a message from the Queen." He can't read, so he summons the Maester to read it for him. Illiterate ass. So
Yeah,
he
because
gets
like the Baratheons suck too, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yes.
yeah.
So so the Maester reads it. He whispers to the king, and then the king says, "Remember my father's oath." Because remember the Baratheons, all the houses swore fealty to swore they bent the knee to Rhaenyra. So she wants sent them a message to remember that, to know where their allegiances lie. So he's like, okay, well, it seems like House Targaryen doesn't know who rules it. So what do you offer me? Because King Aemon has his brother proposed a marriage between his brother Aemon and my daughter. What about you? He's like, I can't. Sorry, but I can't. I'm already married. I'm already promised to somebody. It was like, well, you can't help me then. Like, there's nothing you can do. Bye. And so, but before he leaves, Aemon, being Aemon, is just so wrapped up in his revenge that he wants to take Luke's eye out for eye for an eye. I'm like, bro, I get
could
it.
he stop being a
It's the way
bitch
he
for 5
revealed his
seconds?
sapphire eye, though. He was
I,
like, I'm a baddie. Who's gonna say something? Take
right?
me. Say
Like,
something.
here's my thing. Like, bro, this happened. This happened. What? 6, 8 years. This happened like 8 years ago. Granted, I know the scars probably still suck, but you got the biggest dragon in Westeros out of it. Like, what good? What I mean, will it make you feel better? Will taking Luke's eye make you feel better? Will it? Will it? Because he made you look like a punk when he was a little kid. You mad because his little kid slashed your eye? Really, bro?
Child.
Because
He
he's
gonna,
a
that's gonna always
bitch.
that's gonna always fuel some type of his anger development as him. Like, I mean,
I mean, I
yeah,
get it.
they took his eye. Like at the end of the day, they took his eye. Like, and then they still couldn't do anything because their grandpappy said they're gonna take his tongue, or his daddy said gonna take his tongue. So I mean, at the end of the day, he got to have some type of fuel. But the only reason he act like that is because of the situations, because he knew there was nobody else there and he could talk the way he wanted to because nobody would stop him.
Calling him
Because
Lord Strong and like
Right,
all that extra bullshit. No way.
right,
right. Like, bro, like everything that you've done on yourself. But as far as getting your eyesights open, that was on you. You did that because you stole Vagar the day of their mother's funeral. Then you wanted to call them bastards, something they can't help, something that is something they cannot help. You know that. I'm like, and then because they defend themselves, well, they defend Baylor and Raina because you pretty much beat, like, punched and pushed them, and they fought you, and you got your eyes sliced because of it. Come on, and you still got Vagar out of it. Like, you winning, bro. Like, you may have lost tonight, but you winning, bro. Like, come on. And
Uh, yeah, it was, and then just to show the immaturity, the lack of maturity, he then proceeds to chase good old Luke on Dragonback in the middle of a hurricane, essentially, and it's
rain, yeah,
w-
it's a
w-
bad
one
rainstorm.
one I said this, it gave me Prisoner of Azkaban feels because of the red and black green rain, but that's the only time I'll mention that series here. I was just like, so full disclosure, I was spoiled
Yeah.
by the events. I'm not gonna name any names or point any fingers or make any allusions to any culprits or anything like that. But I'll just say I was aware of what was coming next, and I was still shocked because it's like you chase him, you keep trying to get him to take his eye out. Then when Arax shoot, breathes fire on Vagar in self defense, you're like, no, 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 Vagar, listen to me. And then Luke, he flies out of the storm into the, you see the sunset, it makes you think everything is hopeful. But then Vagar bitch ass come out of nowhere and chomps beef jerky style, as Min points out.
I mean, literally
And
Literally,
chomped on them.
chomp.
Like that jump was crazy. Like that whole scene and build up was like
And the crazy thing is, people wanted it to be even more intense than what it was.
it didn't need to be because the fact when he was leaving out, you can tell that this it's raining hard. Arax is like, I don't even want to move right now because that bitch over there looking at me. She been looking at me and smelling me this whole time. And you in there in this castle. Can we just sit right here for a little bit? Can we just hold tight? He's like, no, just focus. We got this. Short ride home. That shit was crazy because
What? I
to see how small Arax was compared to
compared to
Vagar,
Vagar, like,
that scene where like how she's flying over them and he's just right there. He just flapping his little wings like, oh my god, that was so sad. Like
and
I
it's like Amon knows it. Like, he knows that Vagar is the biggest dragon, and I'm like, you're really taunting this little boy, and
right.
just you want his eyes. So you're following him. You can hear Amon's evil laugh through the clouds. Like, you can see his face. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. Like, Amon meant to kill Luke, even if he had the sorrowful look on his face. That was the only outcome that this was gonna have. Like, what did you expect? You were just gonna chase him all the way to Dragonstone, back to Dragonstone? Was that it? Like, you chased after him and flew after him to kill him. That was his end game, whether he wanted it to or not. That was going to be the end game.
And
Because
I go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, you could keep going.
No, I was just gonna say I was not expecting that type of death for Luke. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, I knocked him off the dragon and he falls and drowns and something like that. I thought it was
Oh,
gonna
you don't
be
want to know how Rhaenyra goes. You don't want to know how Rhaenyra goes.
like I kind of like I wanted that. I wanted him to have a more dignified death, one where Rhaenyra can at least bury her son, but to be eviscerated by a dragon the size of 3 skyscrapers and all of that as his bitch ass uncle like no, and then has that sorry look on like you just got done saying Avian, you knew what the fuck you wanted to do. You knew you wanted.
I will say I don't, and I'm not excusing behavior. I think he wanted to scare and taunt. I don't think he wanted to kill him. Where this goes to the hand is that whole illumination, that theme of the dragons and their riders feeling each other's emotions. Because I saw this being breakdown on the timeline as well. That Arax was scared, Lucas was scared. Aemon was in this whole anger thing. Vagar was angry. So I think it was just natural instincts of Vagar being in a war set mind and
Go after right because Arax blew fire on her. So I'm gonna
right.
get
So
you.
once
I'm
you
gonna get
do
you.
once that happened, it clicked her in her mind like, okay, I really have to defend myself. I know what that feels like. That's fire. This mother trying to harm me. So I think in actuality, granted, yes, he flies up and then they come up against, but Vagar gonna automatically just chomp because you just blew fire on me.
At the end of the day, it is still a primal animal.
Yes.
Like you can't fully
Control
it. Like no matter how hard you try, like you cannot. Like maybe if Vagar wasn't Lena's and and Aemon claimed him when maybe he was like Rhaenyra's age and he had that relationship with Vagar, maybe she might have listened to him. Maybe she might have listened to him. It's just like Arax. Arax is a small dragon. He was still growing, just like Luke. Luke is still a child. So Arax, she he or she I can't remember the sex of, but they were defending like you said, they're scared. They were scared, so she was defending. So he or she was defending themselves. Just like Luke was, like he was flying, trying to get home without any kind of harm or anything, and it's just like
it's a very sad and unfortunate situation.
right?
And you can definitely tell on Eamon's face that he's like, shit, what have I really got myself into?
You just started war. If
war crimes.
Because if the crowning of Aegon, usurping the throne, and Aegon wasn't the first one, this is the one that definitely set it off. Because now, when you go back to King's Landing and you have to tell Alicent, your grandfather, all the Green Council, what you just did, you think about what did you? I guarantee you, Alicent, like season 2, first episode, when Aegon comes back on Vagar, so what did you do? He's like, he'll say Lucerys is dead. She's like, what? What? Oh, Rhaenyra's gonna come at us with everything now. What did you idiot, you stupid boy? Now, and no, Team Green is gonna be on the defense. But one thing that this could do is solidify Aemon's true villainy because he's from now on, since he killed Luke, he's known as the Kinslayer. So because he kills his own people. So I'm like, okay. So if he goes to King's Landing and he regrets what he does, and someone maybe Otto could be anybody really on Team Green, be like, look, kind of like what Tyrion did to Jon Snow. Like, look, if you're named the Kinslayer, own up to it. Be that. Be it full out, 100%. And that way he's like, you know what? You're right. Okay, I will. Now that's when he, really taps into I'm a baddie. Like, watch me, watch me now. Because I feel like he never really had battle experience. Aemon has never had any type of well, from the show that we've seen, he doesn't have any type of like true battle experience. Like he's never killed anybody before. Like he's fought, he's practiced sword fighting. Like like Kristen Cole said, you'll be ready for tourneys in no time. And he's like, I don't give a shit about tourneys. It's like so you can tell he's never really fought either. So it's like he has officially now been drenched in war. Like he knows what that's like because Damon, he's been in the shit. Like Damon has killed numerous people. So it is what it is when it comes to him. But that feeling of remorse comes from him never really like playing the baddie, but never really being the baddie, if that makes sense. Like he had the attitude for it, but he has never actually like been drenched in it, if that makes sense.
Yep. And all I know is that Rhaenyra Targaryen will be starring in the hit film A Time to Kill in season 2 of House of the Dragons, because that's all that there is to it. That's all that there is to it, and that's all that's going to be said. She is going to be looking to. I mean, y'all have been saying she's going to be war criming it up. I support the move 1,000,000,000%, and all I ask is that she commits my favorite war crime, which is false surrender. As long as she's telling folks, "Oh, I surrender," and then go on ahead and kicking their ass, and when they take her seriously, I believe the official term is perfidy, Peridy. Yeah, I mean, just look at her face. She's and what Emma said in the post when she was like, "Oh, this is a type of grief Rhaenyra has never faced before. This goes beyond losing a lover or a friend or anything like
or
that.
parent even. Like she wasn't even that sad when her dad died, like because she knew that
That
what
time,
that meant.
yeah,
Right.
it had to come eventually. But to lose your child before they could even experience life, and it's not some accident, it's murder.
Yep. That look on her face when she turned after Damon comes up and he tells her what happens and she turns to the camera like, oh, they done fucked up. Team Green done fucked up. I'm coming at them with everything that I've got. Y'all are going down. And I'm like, that is it. That is it. That is the whole essence of Rhaenyra coming up in season 2 and 3 and 4. Like, I want to see her now in her full mode. She's tried everything. Like, she's tried, she's been peaceful. Like, she's tried to uphold the peace, but Team Green's gone too far. Like, they've gone way too far. And it's about to go down, and I'm here for it. Like I said, the only thing that I wish for season 2, 3, and 4 is that Bela and Reyna have a bigger role. That is my wish for season 2.
My wish is that Rhaenyra just starts killing them folks in dispute. Like I want y'all talking about war crimes. I want to see the whole shebang. I want her pulling up on King's Landing, just tiki torching any and everybody she see. I want all of it. Give me that sweet vengeance.
Like I will take. I will support any war crimes that she does. I'm 10 toes down because it is more. Team Green has this coming. Like they deserve what is coming to them next.
As for Black people, what would we be if we were not supporting the Black Queen in her conquest of war crimes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Indeed, Mike.
Yes.
Your support of the war crimes. How deep are you in it?
I'm about to start reading the books.
Me too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna start reading.
Yeah, and then we're about to recap the whole Game of Thrones series because you've never seen it. So yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for this next journey into this world because I've seen Game of Thrones twice. So this would be an interesting third take of actually watching it and breaking it down with you guys season by season. And then, like I said, I'm more intrigued to know what happens in the books and then how the showrunners have been going with, how they're doing it. So I feel like we're gonna all be in for a surprise these next couple of seasons with House of the Dragons. So yeah.
I'm here for it, all of it. I'm ready. Even though the season 2 is going to start filming in March next year, so we got about what, like 4 or 5 months, and far as filming, and then it's supposed to air in 2024. So we still got about a year and a half. The first season off to a pretty good start, and they said season 2 pretty much for the rest of the series is pretty much going to be, well, according to the article, it's pretty much going to be like the mid seasons, like the good seasons of Game of Thrones. So we'll see how it goes. But season 1, great start. Can't wait to watch season 2. Um, and definitely will be back recapping season 2 for sure. So until then, be on the lookout for our Game of Thrones review episodes, and we'll see y'all.
We'll see y'all later.
All right,
So
bye.
Hee hee hee.